welcome to the Giddy Carousel of Pop, the podcast that takes an old issue of Britain's brightest magazine smash hits and has a good nose through its pages with a guest. I'm Simon Galloway, and he's captured our hearts, he's captured our memories. It's Gavin Hogg.
Oh, thanks. Another lovely introduction.
Well, thank you.
I think I should start preparing something for you, shouldn't I? But
no,
it's a bit late now.
I'm not very good with compliments. So,
okay, that's fine. Well, I'll take all the compliments.
Yeah, you take all the compliments, and I'll just sit in the background. It's fine.
We're like yin and yang.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you for that. Delightful.
So, before we set the carousel spinning in motion, Gav, who's been supporting the podcast by buying us a coffee?
Who indeed? Why, it's our good friends at Boat Whistle Books. Thank you very much for your coffee, and also thanks to all the lovely listeners for comments about the most recent episode with Mr. Mark Ellen and Marco Peroni.
Yeah.
Had lots of lovely feedback, so thanks for listening, and glad you enjoyed it.
It was a bit special there, wasn't it? So, not that they're not all special, but that one was special. And if you want to support us, you too can do the same. It's very simple, and it can be just a one-off thing, or you can buy us as many coffees as you like, as often as you like. It's up to you. Just go to coffee.com/giddypoppod. That's ko-fi.com/giddypoppod, and chuck us a few quid to help keep the carousel spinning. So, Gav, who's joining us on the carousel this time?
Well, Si, I'm very glad you asked. Let me paint a picture with the words from my mouth. The nights are beginning to draw in and the temperature is slowly falling, each day a little colder. The aroma of baked potatoes and bonfires gently wafts across the fairground, while those little imps, Hazy Fantasy, beg us for another ride on the carousel. We explain that it will be impossible as we have a special guest all the way from Australia joining us today, and we want the ride to be immaculate. No bits of straw, fag ends and discarded moccasins, which happened last time Hazy took a spin. Our driver has picked our Antipodean visitor up from the airport and has called Fairground HQ from a phone box to say they'll be with us very shortly. Hazy Fantasy refused to vacate the premises, so Si chases them off with his broom, and minutes later...
Clear off.
I love that image of you chasing Hazy Fantasy with the broom.
Well.
You would, you totally would.
I would.
I can picture it in my mind.
Loitering with all their ways.
The big leggy ways. And minutes later, our smiling yet slightly dazed guest is deposited from a Ford Fiesta. She's travelled all the way from Melbourne to take a ride. It's co-writer of the fantastic podcast Childproof, co-editor of the Scrivener's Fancy site, freelance book editor and columnist, Sarina Rowell. Sarina, welcome to the podcast. Thank you for flying all this way to see us.
Thank you so much.
Which horse would you like to sit on today?
Which horse? Well, I was actually always quite frightened of carousel horses, so I was sort of the wussy kid who had to sit in the little sort of carriagey thing that wasn't actually on a horse because I was quite scared when they went up and down, so which is really pathetic, isn't it?
So just the safest, slowest, most contained one.
Exactly, yeah. There wasn't actually a horse. That's where you would have found me, unfortunately, yes.
Is it the nostrils that scare you? What is it about them?
It's sort of it's kind of the stamping feet, I think. And even on an actual carousel, the sort of the going up and down while sitting astride them just always frightened me.
No, they're all valid concerns, definitely. That's fair. Well, we'll flick the switch and get the carousel spinning upon the truthful answering of this question, Sarina. Have you ever been sick in a gumboot?
I've been sick down my front, but not in a gumboot.
Okay, I mean a little bit.
Yeah.
Were you wearing gumboots at the time? Would some of it splashed into the top of a gumboot, maybe?
Would have been so convenient if I'd been holding a gumboot in front of me, but unfortunately I wasn't, no. In fact...
Okay, well that's fine. You don't have to have done it to start the carousel. We just need a truthful answer and you've given us that, so that's fine. So you may have been sick near a gumboot. Let's say that. You're 50% there.
Yeah, I'm sure I've been sick somewhere with gumboots in the cupboard.
That's good enough for us.
Yeah, there you go.
And the carousel has spun us back to the smash hits of the 8th to the 21st of December 1983, which Sarina has picked out for us to peruse. And if you want to read along with us, you can do just that, thanks to the Like Punk Never Happened and Smash Hits Remembered websites. You'll find the links to the scans of the issue in the episode show notes, along with Spotify and YouTube playlists that include pretty much all the songs and artists featured in this issue of The Hits, and it goes pretty deep, this one as well. You'll find these links on our website, giddypoppod.home.blog, and we'll post them on our Twitter and Facebook feeds as well. Just search for the Giddy Carousel of Pop or at GiddyPopPod. So, Sarina, before we embark on our journey into this issue of Smash Hits, Just tell us what life was like for a pop kid in a land down under.
Yeah, all right. Well, that is a great question. Well, I guess for me, I became really obsessed with music. It's sort of 1982. Fell in love with Simon Le Bon it was like early 82. It's strange how it happened, because there was a rumour in Australia, and I don't know if it existed anywhere else, and I've never been able to find verification of it on the internet, that he was the son of Brian Ferry. That was the rumour in Australia. Yes, seriously, and everyone believed it. Everyone believed it. I remember the first time I saw Planet Earth and my sister saying, oh, well, he's Brian Ferry's son. And I was like, oh, okay, that's good. And so that was kind of, intriguing that he was Brian Ferry's son. And then for some reason, though, I fell in love with him when I heard him interviewed on 2SM, which was sort of a, top 40 station that everybody listened to. And Charlie Fox, the DJ, interviewed him and said, oh, well, I hear you're Brian Ferry's son. And Le Bon said, and Le Bon said, that's balderdash. And for whatever reason, him saying that's balderdash, I was then like absolutely in love with him. And I had a group of friends at school, and we were all in love with like a particular member of Duran Duran. And when it was the birthday of one of them, we'd bring a cake to school to celebrate. And they were my first concert ever at the Hordern Pavilion in 82. And I borrowed this big pair of white knickerbockers from my sister, New Romantic style. It was absolutely great. And so absolutely, madly in love with them. But then it ended because they released the Rio video. And my best friend and I had this sort of ceremonial taking down of the posters so it really only lasted a few months because, we just could not stomach the Rio video at all. It was
What was it in particular about it?
I think we didn't like the horseplay. That bit in the middle when Simon Le Bon's like pretending to answer the phone and like he's wearing the tiny swimming costume, and they're wearing just those ridiculous suits and they're on the yacht, and we're like, this is like the worst thing that we've ever seen. And then it was all over. So it was actually probably only because I think Rio came out in Australia in August maybe that year. So the love affair was probably only about April, May, June, July. It was probably about 5 months, but it was very intense. But that got me into that life of going and like feverishly just hanging around newsagents all the time. And, buying magazines. And it felt like such a triumph. If someone who you're in love with was on the cover, it was like a clue that you were going to marry them or something. And it must be so hard to explain to, the kids of today that you used to have to wait for anything and it would be like a huge deal. And, of course, we used to get smash hits a few weeks late. Off the top of my head, maybe 6 weeks late or something like that. So we'd have to wait for it. But I've religiously read smash hits and NME and Melody Maker and the Australian press as well. And I mean, other than that, it was that thing of hanging around record shops but you don't have any money. And I grew up in Sydney and the shops used to close at midday on Saturday and they were shut on Sunday. So you'd get the bus into the city really early and just hang around record shops without any money and go home again. So, it was a riveting existence, as you can tell. And that's what it was like.
Who were the other bands and singers that you liked apart from your brief affair with son of Brian Ferry, Simon Le Bon? I sort of liked the Human League, but it was more I was really jealous of those girls. I was kind of obsessed with those girls in the Human League because they were just sort of living the life, weren't they? They just got picked out of that disco in Sheffield and couldn't dance, couldn't sing, and were touring the world. So I was kind of obsessed with the Human League, but not so much a fan. I liked the Thompson twins. I absolutely loved Haircut 100. I was so much in love with Nick Hayward. I mean, just madly in love with him. That's the kind of thing, I guess, too. If you're a girl, there's a kind of hormonal side of it that I don't know maybe exists as much with teenage boys. Possibly not. I'm thinking of you with your Madonna poster.
Yeah.
Oh.
I had my brief phase kissing my Madonna poster when I was.
Oh, no, fair enough. Yeah. Look, understand. Who wouldn't? Who wouldn't? Absolutely. Oh, and I love the Cure and David Bowie and Susie and the Banshees. That's probably. I wasn't so much into Adam and the Ants, but our school it was kind of split into Adam and the Ants and Duran Duran. And the Adam and the Ants people would occasionally wear the stripe over the nose, and I had this friend who was saving herself for Adam Ant, which I hope she didn't do in the end. So I liked a lot of people, but
it seems to be all British bands that you've named there, so no homegrown talent. You weren't rocking out to Jimmy Barnes or anything like that.
Well, I have to say, to this day, I have a massive soft spot for In Excess, to the horror of everyone, basically, who I know. I still love In Excess. I really liked a band called Ice House, but let's not even open that file because... Well,
surely, if anybody's going to be Brian Ferry's son, surely it's Ivor Davis.
Oh, don't even. Oh, my God, I know. There's songs on that are like almost plagiarism when it comes to that. Maybe cut that out of the podcast. But, yeah, no, I was a big Ice House fan. Not so much Cold Chisel and that kind of gang. But yeah, loved In Excess and Ice House. And yeah, no, definitely homegrown talent too. America was a bit out in the cold in those days. American stuff was a lot. Do you know the word daggy?
Yeah.
By any chance?
Yeah, but explain it for us.
Okay, well, it's an Australian slang term just meaning, just very uncool, basically. And American stuff, yes, was, I don't know, just kind of seemed to be, except for Madonna, who I absolutely loved as well, and Cyndi Lauper. But anyway, this whole other topic. But yeah, English music was sort of very much cooler, and that's what people were into 100%. England was like the absolute promised land in the early 80s. And of course it is now. I'm not saying it isn't, but in the early 80s. Yeah.
Yes. And did it do well in the charts, the English music? I guess it did.
English, it was absolutely huge. Yeah. And bands would tour, and I mean, everyone would just go apeshit. So they were huge hit, no question.
And you talked about seeing the video for Rio. So what, obviously we had Top of the Pops here, but what did you have in Australia as like an equivalent sort of thing?
Well, our show was called Countdown. It was on the ABC, and it was very similar to Top of the Pops in that bands would come and, mime, obviously. Do you know Ian Molly? Have you heard of Ian Molly Meldrum ever at any time?
Yeah.
He was our musical guru and sort of famously inarticulate. Very enthusiastic about music, great guy, a big fan. Yeah, I mean, he would admit it himself, famously inarticulate. Countdown could be kind of a ramshackle sort of show, but it was, absolute appointment television. It was on at 6:00 on Sundays, and it was repeated on Saturday. And so you would be glued to it on Sunday, but then also watch the repeat on the Saturday. And all the bands who toured would go on that, including Duran Duran and the Human League, et cetera, et cetera. So that was a red letter night, obviously.
Yeah, no, I've seen a particularly awkward interview that he did with Iggy Pop.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I've seen that. That's hilarious.
Yeah, that is legendary. Yeah, there's a lot of... Elton John smashed a cake into his face once. There's many, many famous kind of countdown moments involving Molly.
And how old were you at the time that this issue came out?
When this issue came out, I would have been 15, and so I was in year 10 at school, which is... Well, I had 2 years of high school to go, but when this issue came out, I might be jumping ahead too much here, but I was actually in England when this issue came out, which brings us to the question, I guess, when we get to the question of why this issue, that is part of it.
Which is my next question. Why this issue?
Okay. Well, it's two-pronged. First of all, the major reason well, equal major reason, I guess, was the Duran mag in the middle, because they're quite critical of Australia in it. They were living in Australia at the time and they're quite critical. And I was absolutely furious and wrote like a really angry letter to Smash Hits because I was just so upset about it. As we've established, I wasn't even a fan of theirs by then. And I was so angry by what they said. But I'll have a lot more to say on that topic, obviously, once we get to it. And the second reason was that I was in England, and it was, I cannot even describe how exciting it was to buy and read it in England. It was phenomenal to be... I went to Carnaby Street just to look at the Smash Hits office.
Wow.
Basically, that was... I knew what Carnaby Street was, but it was mainly to look at the Smash Hits office. And it was, it was beyond exciting. And it was amazing when I went through the issue, how much in this issue sums up why I love Smash Hits so much. And there are so many things in it that I've just remembered for years and years and years. I honestly had no idea were in that particular issue, which again we will get to, but I couldn't believe it. And yeah, so much in it just sums up why Smash Hits was just so fantastic. Because it was just like basically, as you guys talk about and you're the experts, but it was like basically a humour magazine that just happened to be about music, because it was so funny. The first time I read it, I would have bought it. I think the first one I bought maybe had altered images on the cover because I liked altered images, and it just blew my mind because it was just so funny.
Do you think is the Australian humour and the English humour, do you think they're very similar?
Yeah, I think they're extreme. I think they're extremely similar. And Australia, it's interesting. I always think that Australians are kind of bilingual in America and Britain. I found when I went to Britain, I would be shocked by things, and I'm talking about the 80s, I'm sure it's very different now, but I would be shocked by things people didn't know about, like the Brady Bunch and this sort of thing, while I'm always shocked by the amount of things American people don't know about Britain. It's a good thing about Australia, really. I guess people would jump on and say we need to have our own culture, which we do. But I quite like having that, being in the middle like that and feeling like you understand both. But yes, that was a long-winded answer to your question. But yes, I absolutely think the sense of humour is very similar.
Do you remember how expensive it was to buy in Australia? Because this issue was 40 pence in England.
That is a great question. It was probably... might have been $3 or something around then, because that was probably about $2 in our currency, plus they had to mail. Might have been $3, something like that. Unfortunately, I don't have my old Smash Hits with me, but yeah, it was probably around there. It wasn't super expensive.
Sounds expensive to me.
It does.
I wouldn't have bought it. Right, well, shall we launch ourselves into this issue then?
Yes.
There it is. Smash Hits, the 8th to the 21st of December, 1983. Sarina, do you want to just take us through the cover, what we're looking at here?
Well, we're looking at quite a moody picture of John Taylor and Nick Rhodes. They look actually almost identical. And John and Duran were very much in their kind of highlights period at that time. Nick Rhodes has a lot of blonde highlights. John Taylor has what I would call mahogany highlights. And we read that there's a 16-page colour special about Duran, and that the magazine is also featuring Eurythmics, Paul Young, Status Quo, Robert Smith and Tina Turner, which is it's an interesting selection, pretty broad ranging. If you don't like any of that, then there's probably not that much for you.
Something for everyone there, isn't there?
In life, not just in the magazine, yeah.
Yeah, we should just mention, actually, this is a massive issue. It's like over 80 pages, 88 pages altogether.
Yes.
This is
possibly double what we did last time, isn't it?
It's possibly the biggest issue of Smash Hits that we've ever encountered.
Oh.
I'll just quickly go through the we're going to be here in a while. Just quickly go through the contents page, the songs that are in this one. Well, we begin with the lyrics for the rather repetitive and grinding "The Way You Are" by Tears for Fears.
Oh.
That's your first lyric in there, and then we get on to "Tell Her About It" by Billy Joel. Definitely need to find some music for this part. Margarita Time by Status Quo. Nick Kershaw, I Won't Let the Sun Go Down. Lionel Richie, Running with the Night. Many Rivers to Cross. Bloody UB40. My Oh My by Slade. Rock the Midnight by David Grant. That's an odd title, isn't it? Bark at the Moon by Ozzy Osbourne. I can see why they put those two together. Terry, Kirsten McCall. Strip, Adamant. You're in My Heart, David Essex. Islands in the Stream by Kenny Rogers and Dolly Parton. Rapping, Roland Rat Superstar. Coldest Christmas, In the Middle of the Year by Elton John. And Only You by the Flying Pickets. Oh, and there's a star choice chosen by Roddy Frame. I think possibly the one and only time that a lyric by Captain Beefheart has appeared in the magazine. We'll get to that in due course. And then, like Sarina mentioned, features on Paul Young, Tina Turner, Status Quo, Robert Smith from The Cure, a nice picture or poster of Marilyn on the back, and then that big old Duran centre, pull-out section that's sitting right there in the middle of the magazine, bulking it out there at 16 pages.
One thing that just made me think is quite unusual about the cover is that the singer of the band isn't on there.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, I know John Taylor was kind of the good-looking one out of the band, but
most fanciful male for pretty much the entire 80s.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But it is unusual not to have a singer of a band on, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you're going to have just one or two people from a band.
Yeah.
It's always going to be John Taylor, though, isn't it? And I'm surprised that you were crushing on Simon Le Bon. Who out of your friendship group got John Taylor? And was there any jealousy or rivalry there?
Look, you make a very, basically out of the five of us, there were two who were for John Taylor, one for Nick Rhodes, two for Simon Le Bon. It was like nobody, Roger and Andy were always much further down on the list. Yeah.
Who?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I actually think, in my old age, I actually think John Taylor is like more attractive than Simon Le Bon, but that's maturity, I suppose.
You've grown up, Sarina.
Yeah. Haven't I?
Okay, so as we turn, there's a lyrics for Billy Joel's Tell Her About It, and then I just wanted to mention, because I think this might be one of the worst songs of the entire decade, and we've come to it now. It's another band a bit like UB40 that seem to be in every bloody issue, and it's status bloody quo, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're always in. But with their worst song, I'm sure, by a country mile, Margarita Time. Do you remember this song, Sarina?
Well, I vaguely remember it, but looking at the lyrics, you just get lost in them, don't you? Like, I don't have any idea what it means. I don't understand what it's leading up to, and the performance of it is quite jolly, but the lyrics are kind of disturbing. Does the person have the DTs? It's really
I think it might be
disturbing.
Lost in a dream, lost in a fantasy. I think it's just someone getting pissed. It's either that or surely it's not margarita pizzas, is it?
Well,
it must be the drinks, right?
Yeah, it must be the drinks. So it's like, come on, let's go out and get sloshed. But musically, I just find this really hard to listen to. I mean, at the time, Status Quo, they were everywhere. They'd be on kids' TV shows, they'd be on Top of the Pops, and they were kind of part of the furniture, part of the establishment, and everybody was supposed to like them. And I had a rather odd cousin who really, really liked them, which kind of sort of made me wary of them. But also, his mom, my auntie, was called Margaret. And so she said that this was her song. So, this song's about me.
Oh, my God.
So I've kind of got all that going on in there. But because it's got that vaguely country, a country and Celtic sound going on. And I'm not a big fan of country music. This for me is the worst end of country music. And it's kind of like being covered in syrup, and then you're just being made to kind of move really slow. It creeps and crawls over you. And then I think when I was listening to the playlist, because normally I would put the playlist together, but Gavin had a crack at it this time.
I did all right, didn't I?
Yeah, you did a good job.
Thanks.
You did a very good job. Press play. And there's the Tears for Fears song. It's like, that's not as good as I remember. Billy Joel. Well, I'm partial to a bit of Billy Joel from this era. I don't mind that. And then the Status Quo song came out, and I was just coming out in a cold sweat straight away. Yeah. And just really, really icky. Yeah, I think icky is the word.
Yeah, it is an icky song.
Icky.
We're not the only people to feel like this. I went on the Songfacts website, And it said, in 1983, Status Quo bassist Alan Lancaster thought that the new, softer material from Francis Rossi was destroying the group. Despite the fact that this ballad reached number 3 on the UK singles chart, Alan Lancaster hated it. It was like hearing Mick Jagger singing Humpty Dumpty, the dyed-in-the-wool rocker, told Q magazine in April 2013. And then we also find out that Francis Rossi said that apparently Alan said the song was unmanly. He said he couldn't face his family after Margarita time. Which, I think fair enough to Alan Lancaster.
But that makes the song sound better than it is, don't you think? Like, if you just heard that without hearing the song, you think, that's going to be amazing. So, yeah. I mean, I couldn't even tell you, I only obviously just listened to it recently, and I couldn't even tell you really what the tune is. It's not very memorable.
It makes Chaz and Dave sound edgy.
Yeah.
It really does. Yeah. Interesting enough, I don't know if you know, Dixie's Midnight Runners did a cover of it.
Margarita time.
If Margarita time, yeah, you can find it. But even that doesn't make it into a good song for me. But anyway, yeah. Well, let's move on from Status Quo.
Yeah, please do.
Let's get to Start, and there's a very interesting start. We've got a personal file with Mick Talbot off of the Style Council. We've got some stuff about Adam Ant and the strip video. We find out that he's been filming the strip video, and I love this phrase, ends up in the nuddy. I've not heard that phrase for a long time, but it's great. It's very 80s. So it was a bit of a steamy video where he kind of... I mean, I've seen it on YouTube. It really isn't steamy at all. But I guess back then it was a little bit. So they couldn't show it on Saturday morning's TV shows. You had to watch Top of the Pops instead if you wanted to see that. Obviously, as I've said in previous podcasts, I was a massive Adam and the Ants fan, and that transferred to Adam Ant when the Ants split. And I sent my granddad out to buy this 7-inch because I think the singles came out on a Monday in the UK, and I couldn't wait till the weekend. So I'd sent him to get it, and then midweek my mum was working late, and I'd go and have my tea at my nan and granddad's house round the corner. And I said, "Oh, did you get the single?" And he was a bit disapproving. He didn't kind of say anything, but I knew when my granddad was a bit not very happy, and he kind of passed it over to me. And he was like, he sort of shook his head a little bit, like disapproving, because Adam Ant, I think on the cover he's virtually topless, or maybe he's got like a little jumpsuit, but that's mostly on, kind of showing his chest. And then like years later, I thought, yeah, I mean, this is a man that fought in the Second World War, and then I'm sending him out to buy Strip by Adam Ant, and I think it probably challenged his old school masculinity a little bit,
Yeah. Well, did you send him out to buy Marilyn at any time? Because that would have...
No, I didn't.
100%.
I think that was the last time I got my granddad to buy a record for me, because I was just too mortified. I was 13 and a half by that time. I thought I should probably just wait till the weekend and get it myself. So.
Go and buy your own raunchy 7-inch.
Exactly, yeah.
Was it still in the bag when he gave it to you?
It was. I think I'd really disappointed him a bit by doing that.
Yeah, it's censored by your granddad.
There's also on page 7 quite an interesting thing, and this is interesting because nowadays you can find references to pretty much anything online. I tried to find out some more information about this new bunch from East Dulwich called F1 Electric. I could not find a single thing. So there's a guitarist, a bass player, and 3 television sets. And there's some musicians called Oscar Van Gelden and Alan Greenwood, and a chap who lives in the telly. It's called Dominic. It doesn't really tell you much about them. They do some shows, and I guess they've put some records out, maybe. It doesn't say what they've put out. But yeah, just can't find a single thing online. So if anyone out there is a fan of a kind of a multimedia industrial new wave combo called F1 Electric and give us any more information, please get in touch.
Enlighten us, yeah. I thought the personal file with Mick Talbot was quite funny. He comes across as quite a light-hearted and playful guy. One of the questions, where did you meet Weller? In 79, there was some talk of him producing the Parkers, so Merton Parkers, Mick Talbot's previous band, but it fell through. I first met him in Oxford Street Station. I was with my brother and we all went down the calf and had a natter. I thought he was all right. I didn't fancy him straight away, though. That took a while.
They also ask him his favourite Duran Duran record. He says, Save a Prayer. It's the only song of theirs that I've ever even vaguely liked, and it doesn't sound like Duran Duran. There's obviously some beef going on, isn't there? Because later on we'll get to the Duran Duran interview, and Style Council get the other side of the shoe in, don't they? But...
Yeah.
We will come to that.
Well, do you remember something I remember from Smash Hits, not from this issue, but Paul Weller saying that if Margaret Thatcher was in a band, she'd be in a band like Duran Duran, which immediately came to my mind when I saw what Talbot was saying. Yeah, and it's pretty spiky issue.
We turn the page and we get a little feature about Nick Kershaw. Peter Martin speaking to little Nick. It's the lyrics for I Won't Let the Sun Go Down. I thought it was always called I Won't Let the Sun Go Down on Me, but that's obviously just the chorus. We're not including the on me there. The intro starts with a quote from Nick. If there's anything I can do about stopping the Big Bang, I'll do it. In fact, Nick Kershaw feels so strongly about nuclear war, he's written a song about it. I won't let the sun go down on me. But that's not all. He also hates the old men in stripy trousers who rule the rest of us with plastic smiles. And who can blame him?
Think about it. Yeah.
Think about it. But I think it's telling that it goes on through the, it's only a little piece, only one column down the side of the page, and basically it's kind of exposing Nick Kershaw as a muso. He calls himself, he's basically just a muso. In other words, he can play loads of instruments, knows all about chord structures, if I can say that, and can write a decent tune. He's the type who prefers to be tinkering around in a studio rather than prancing about at nightclubs. That's the kind of pop star that we're dealing with Nick Kershaw here.
What made me laugh in that was at the beginning, he says, if there's anything I can do about stopping the Big Bang, I'll do it. And then later on, he says, I don't want to preach to anybody. They can either take the words or leave them. Well...
Yeah.
You can't follow through on your convictions, man.
Yeah. You've all got to listen to this. I'm going to stop the Big Bang. Well, listen or don't listen. It's up to you guys,
No.
So, yeah, he's...
Yeah, and don't forget the LP deals with other burning issues like Darwin's theory of evolution.
His conviction has fallen away very quickly. Was he big in Australia, Nick?
Yeah, Nick Kershaw and Howard Jones, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Both very big.
On behalf of England, we're sorry. Okay, turning the page, and we've got another top male pop star from 83. It's Mr. Paul Young, who gets a whole page to himself and a nice picture of him in a lovely 80s suit with a pink tie. And it's Peter Martin again. This time he's speaking to Paul on the set of a TV show. He's gone to do Saturday Superstore, but for some reason there's a strike on. I'm not sure why. So they're in the Play School studio instead, which is for our Australian cousins was a very young kids TV show.
Yeah, like a TV show for preschoolers, basically.
Right.
And obviously the DJ, Radio 1 DJ Mike Reed was the host of Saturday Superstore, and there's a good bit with Paul where one of the things that Mike did, he was a bit of a frustrated pop star, wasn't he, for many years. He was putting out records that never really kind of did very much.
Wherever Mike was, his guitar would surely follow.
Yes, indeed.
Oh, all right.
So this has caused Paul Young a bit of a headache. Peter writes, once Paul's done his bit, we're off to his dressing room, number 212. He looks worried. Oh, God, he's asked me to sing with him. What am I going to do? Say you've got a sore throat, suggests his helpful Scottish manager. His face lights up. Right, that's what I'll do. Problem solved. I'll just have to talk like this. He makes a noise that adds new meaning to the word gruff. For the rest of the show. There's definitely no business like show business. So Peter talks to him. He's had quite a giddy ride, and he's very much on the carousel at the moment. His re-release Love of the Common People, first time it came out, it didn't do anything, but then Wherever I Lay My Hat was a massive song, went to number 1, I believe.
I think it did, yeah.
And then this has been re-released, and it's now riding high in the charts, and No Parlay obviously is a number 1 album and has been big across the world. He's just come 3rd best in the male singer category of the Smash Hits Readers poll, beating Michael Jackson and David Bowie. It was 5th. And it's just to talk about Paul's life and the changes that have happened recently. He says that Peter asks him how he's coping with the success, and he says, the pressure's getting to me a little bit. I've hardly any privacy. I can't go into the local pub anymore, and it's not that safe where I live. I don't know where he's living. I mean, it can't be the Bronx, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
he's on the wrong side of town.
Yeah, on the wrong side of the tracks.
Staying with his parents. So where are his parents living?
He says sometimes I prefer to stay with my parents.
Mick Talbot, I think, was living with his parents in that. Like, a lot of people said to be staying with their parents or living with their parents in this issue.
Yeah.
I've got to say, though, there is something in this story. Literally, I never forgot from the time I first read it, and I couldn't believe it when I was going through this issue and this interview was in this magazine. Okay, it is this bit where they say, so what could possibly motivate you? And he says, love. I might fall heavily in love. I shouldn't really say that because I've had a steady girlfriend, Kathy, for 2 years, but I always seem to be working and I always keep her separate from that. And I remember even when I was 15 thinking, what was that conversation like when the issue of the magazine came out and he had seen fit to make that pronouncement in it?
I know, it's such a dick move, isn't it? I got exactly the same here. I was like, why did he say that? I mean, how would she feel reading that? They've been going out for 2 years and then he's like, well, I might fall in love and that would motivate me. I mean, maybe I shouldn't really say that.
Yeah.
But, we've just been, and he's just been on holiday with her and he's still saying that. I'm like, mate.
Yeah, and he'd already said because he's so unmotivated, he turned up late to a TV show and, instead of being on for 10 minutes, I was on for 2. So he says, and always seemed very kind of stolid, Paul Young, didn't he? Like his backup singers were so much fun. Like I always thought they were fantastic, the 2 women backup singers. And he always seemed like he was a bit of a charisma vacuum.
Yeah, nice voice, but not a lot else going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. But nice voice, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, you do get the feeling that, and this is a recurring theme throughout this issue of Smash Hits, and I think throughout certainly the 80s period of Smash Hits, in that they don't necessarily seem to be enjoying being a pop star. And he seems to be quite reluctant. He just wants to be out there performing and not doing all the kind of showbiz stuff that goes with it.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of quite honest in that way, and it's not like how pop stars would become as the decade wore on, and certainly when we got into the 90s with more manufactured bands appearing who are all kind of groomed to be these perfect little superstars sort of thing. He's just he's being an honest bloke.
Absolutely
and he's just like, I just want to make some records and find some songs to sing, and I don't really want to be appearing on kids TV shows pretending to have a fun time with Mike Reid, who I must say at this point would have been his hair twin.
Yes, very similar hairdos.
They've had similar hairdos, so they've been hard to tell them apart. Apart from Mike Reid, who would probably been wearing a nice jumper.
Well, I love that bit where it says, and I didn't even know who Mike Reid was when I read this, but Mike Reid, happy as a sandboy, strums guitar, while Cheggers and David Grubb play Invisible One, singing higher and higher towards a truly awful crescendo.
That is a Saturday morning in 1983 for me.
Yeah, it is. And it says after that, Paul sits on the end, bemused, half opening his mouth in song. In his heart of heart, he knows this isn't the place for him. And in his eyes, you can see he's itching for life on the road again. So, yeah, very, very much a man who didn't really want to be there, but was kind of going through the motions.
Yeah.
But it's a good song. And that song really reminds me of that winter and really takes me back to that time, probably more than any other songs in this issue. I've got very kind of Proustian kind of recall of hearing this song and having breakfast at my breakfast bar in the kitchen of the house where we lived as kids, only a couple of miles away from where Duran grew up in Solihull in Birmingham.
Oh, wow.
And it was, I seem to remember it being quite a cold winter and having toast and tea, and this was always on the breakfast show, and it was around for quite a while, this song, wasn't it? This really takes me back. So we flick through, we've got the mutterings, the gossip section, an advert for Kim Wilde's new album, Catch as Catch Can, and then we've got a full-page advert for Duran, Seven and the Ragged Tiger. The current album includes hit single Union of the Snake, £4.29 in Virgin. By this point, you stopped being a Duran fan, so I guess you didn't get this album. Were you so anti-Duran that you didn't buy any more records? Or would you have bought this?
Well, look, my opinion then, and I have to say, I have the opinion now. I really think all of their records after Rio are rubbish, really. I didn't like them then, I don't really like them now. But I'll have more to say on that topic a little later because Nick Rhodes says something a bit I find rather controversial. But yes, no, I would not have bought it then and I wouldn't buy it now.
Fair dues.
And then we get to Get Smart, Linda Duff asking those burning questions about pop music in general. Got a question about absolutely anyone or anything to do with music? Linda will get you the answer. Well, try. And there's a lot going on here.
Isn't there a lot going on here? Everyone is a winner in this one. I mean, we could do a whole episode just on this page, really.
Yeah, the one that immediately leapt out to me. I'd like to know a few things about Boy George. His colour eyes, size of feet, weight, height and chest measurements. Will he marry me? Also, what number did Wishing on a Star by Rose Royce get to? And what's the title of the song which goes, Love on the dance floor, don't you want to boogie, oogie, oogie, till you just can't boogie no more? That's from Teresa Glasgow in Finchley.
It's the most random question.
Linda, there's a lot to unpack there. Linda replies, and I think she does a good job here. George has greeny blue eyes, fits a size 8 shoe. When you get to his height, I find that size of shoe hard to believe. Yeah. But anyway, size 8 shoe, weighs about 11.5 stone, stands over 6 feet tall, and measures a wholesome 38 inches around the chest. Size 15.5 collar. I mean, this is very detailed stuff. Sounds dreamy, eh? He wouldn't commit himself to marriage, though, and got off the hook, as they say, by saying, my wife won't let me. Meanwhile, Wishing on a Star peaked at number 3 in January 1978, and it wasn't too difficult to recall the lines above. They're from Boogie Oogie Oogie, a top 5 hit for One Hit Wonders, A Taste of Honey in June 78. I hope Teresa was satisfied with that rather comprehensive response.
Yeah, it was a fulsome reply, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah, it was.
Was there any letters there that jumped out at you, Sarina?
Well, two that particularly jumped out at me. The one that starts with, as a collector of Nick Hayward's records, I'm very confused on the label on his latest LP. There's a promotional sticker on the front saying including, on which it lists 3 of the hit singles plus a track called Club Boy at Sea. Was Club Boy ever released as a single, or was it at one time intended to be, as I think it's strange to be listed on the cover? Well, I love the way she starts by saying she's a collector of Nick Hayward's records, which, by the way, I don't think there would have been that many.
Half a dozen maybe.
At most.
Yeah, you could have maybe done it in 1 or 2 shopping trips. Yeah,
and I've just never seen anyone pay that much attention to Club Boy at Sea. That and the next letter about Whitesnake, where did Cozy Pal of Whitesnake fame get the name Cozy from? Also, what is his real name? Does he have a middle name? And is he married or going out with anybody? And then I love the way it ends with, I also need the birth dates of all 5 members of Whitesnake.
We all need the 5.
Like, for what?
I need them. I must have them.
It's, as you say, every letter on this page is gold.
I've got one as well. I just want to mention that's really funny. It's got its own little photo of a little kid flicking through some records. And it says, it's from Mrs. Diane Farmer of Bedford. Please help me. We need the Our Tune music on the back of this thing. Yeah. Please help me mend a little boy's broken heart. My 4-year-old son adores Shakin' Stevens, but has lost his precious copy of Shaker's hit, It's Raining. I've tried in vain to replace it, but have come to a dead end. Do you know of any way I could mend his broken heart by getting a copy of the record? Here he is in the photo, desperately trying to find it. If I look through one more time, it might suddenly be here. So Linda, very, very lovely, replies, your cri de coeur has even reached the heartstrings of those people around at Epic Records, where the man in charge, let's call him Uncle Johnny, has graciously donated a copy of Shaky's album from 1981 called Shaky. On it, you'll find exactly what you're looking for. Now, let's see a nice big smile. So it all came good in the end. Yeah. But, that poor 4-year-old lad losing his copy of It's Raining by Shaky. Devastated.
And I do like how it finishes off, not with a letter, but a note from Linda herself. Says, please note, further to an inquiry about a soul record called 9 Times Out of 10 by a certain Shaz from Doncaster. I thought that's who the record was by initially, but I don't think Shaz from Doncaster made a soul record. We've hardly been able to get past the reception desk with the wealth of letters from soulsters and funketeers everywhere. They reckon Shaz was after the recording by Muriel Day, and a Sue from Middlesbrough declares she has, in her possession, 2 copies of the aforementioned disc and is most willing to donate one to you on receipt of your address. If both Shaz and Sue could write to me again, I'd be quite delighted to pass on the gem. You lot out there can be really quite nice sometimes.
It's lovely, isn't it?
Yeah,
Beautiful. Oh.
You really feel part of something reading that, don't you?
Yeah, it's that club thing, isn't it? You know, we've said before that kind of Smash Hits was like a newsletter for a club almost, and that's beautiful.
Yeah.
So yeah, a very, very entertaining Get Smart page there. Then we get on to Tina Turner.
Yeah, so Tina, it's basically like a very, very brief potted history by Ian Birch, but mostly about her in her career, current day. She's back in the charts with her cover of Let's Stay Together. There's a picture of Tina grimacing in a leather dress. I imagine it's leather. I'm not quite sure what material that is. And she's got 2 of her dancers / backing singers clinging to her thighs. It all looks a bit sordid, to be honest. I don't know if they just all just received some bad news, and it's all just sort of grimacing. No, and it's like, Tina, no, we can't believe this too. It's quite an unusual image. I mean, Tina Turner was always striking anyway, so yeah, she really kind of commands your attention there. But yeah, just the whole sort of mise en scène. Going on that. Don't know where that came from.
Very good.
Very good. That was good, wasn't it? So yeah, the whole thing going on there is quite an image.
Well, that really struck me in that Tina Turner story. I remember it striking me at the time when she has the dinner with David Bowie. That's, My Night with Bowie and the contents. And she talks about how they had dinner in Zurich and David ordered, it was a Swiss specialty, and he sent flowers the next day to say sorry, etc., etc. Do you remember how in 1983 how posh David Bowie became?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it became more like a statesman sort of thing.
Yeah,
exactly. Wearing all his nice suits and his kind of coiffured popcorn hair.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. And he became just sort of incredibly well spoken. I remember he was on Countdown once being interviewed by Molly Meldrum, and David Bowie was talking about the Let's Dance album and talking about a juxtaposition of surrealistic images, and Ian Meldrum was just like absolutely flummoxed.
No, I think it's when Dave entered his regal phase, and probably when he started getting the nickname Dame David Bowie as well.
Yeah, right, of course.
She's also had dinner recently with tennis superstars Vitas Garolaitis and Bjorn Borg in, of all places, Bahrain. She saw them play tennis and they came to her show. Afterwards, she laughed. We took pictures of each other, drank and jammed with my musicians. It was great fun. Bit of a random again. I mean, after David Bowie, you think that's quite a big step down.
Yeah.
Vitas Garolaitis and Bjorn Borg. I mean, tennis superstars they may have been, but it's not the same as going out for a swank meal with Dame David.
100%.
So, a bit of a random encounter, that.
We turn the page and we get straight into the fulcrum of the carousel, the beating heart of Smash Hits, the bits section. What's going on here?
Well, it's only a 2-page one, and often it's a bit longer, but a little bit less in this one. But we do get a mention of Australia with Wham.
Yes.
Wham are telling people not to buy the recently issued Club Fantastic Megamix that their old record label Innovision have put out. It's to do with kind of legal wrangles with their record company, and George doesn't want anything more to do with them. I think by this point they've signed to Sony, was it they were on?
Well, it was CBS. So
CBS, that's right.
Pre-Sony.
Yeah.
I'm into all my ownership of record companies and stuff, so yeah. I'll spare you the details of the dates and things.
Thanks, Si. And they ask, where they're going next. And in the new year, we find out they're off to Australia. He says, we've always wanted to go there. We love the heat. And George laughs, because Duran went there. What a better reason is it for going to Australia than Duran went there? I don't know quite why you said that.
Yeah,
but,
the only reason.
There's also, we spoke before, because I'm guessing you won't know who Steve Wright is, the guy to the right of those. He was another Radio 1 DJ.
I didn't. No, and
No, well, I mean, we wish we didn't really as well, but he was a Radio 1 DJ. I think at this point he had the afternoon slot.
Steve Wright in the afternoon. Yeah, it's still kind of etched traumatically into my memory.
He tried really hard to be funny and wacky and zany, And I mean, some people liked it, and that's fine. But he had these catchphrases and his 6 of his favourite expressions. I mean, they really weren't funny then, but when you look at them now in the cold light of day, they're very poor. Like the bottom one, so he's basically talking about some of his catchphrases and where he got the ideas from. So he's got, "You are so sick, get some therapy." I mean, people of our age will remember these.
Yeah.
"I'm all right, you all right," which I think he had a whole hit single based on that, didn't he?
Yeah, he did, yeah.
And the last one is called "Thank You, Doctor," and he says, "This comes from an old lady I overheard in a doctor's surgery waiting room." I mean, that's very low-hanging fruit, that, isn't it, to get a catchphrase, "Thank you, doctor." In what world is that a catchphrase? It's just something someone said. It's not funny at all.
Yeah.
So, that's Steve Wright. There's quite an interesting story about the Undertones, who've got a new compilation out called All Wrapped Up. It contains all 13 of their singles and for a limited period a free album with all 17 B-sides. Our problem, though, says Bits, is the cover. Possibly the most horrible cover Bits has ever seen. A photo of a woman sort of shrink-wrapped in bacon. It's sexist, childish, and absolutely nothing to do with the Undertones' music. This, according to their manager, is also more or less how the group felt about it. And I thought it was quite interesting that they called it out, because Smash Hits wouldn't often take a sort of political or moral kind of stance on things. But the fact that they did on this, I thought was really interesting, and, fair dues. I mean, it is pretty...
Yeah, I mean, this little photo here doesn't do it justice when you see it in full colour. It is quite disgusting, which is a real shame, because the track listing on the album is amazing.
I do love that quote, though, that this is also more or less how the group feel about it. It's so kind of mild, isn't it?
Yeah. But again, it's another example, like the Wham thing of record companies doing things that the artists wouldn't necessarily want them to do in their name.
Yeah.
Is there anything in here, Sarina, that caught your eye that you wanted to talk about?
Well, I guess the first column with them really sticking it into the Christmas songs is pretty entertaining. The only one, they don't mind an XTC one. Well, it's Three Wise Men, but apparently it's actually XTC. But they're giving it to everyone. They're giving it to Elton John. They're giving it to, I will say the one that appealed to me, though, where it says, "God, everyone's getting in on the act. Dennis Waterman and George Cole of Minder have made What Are We Going to Get Her Indoors?" Do you guys happen to remember What Are We Going to Get Her Indoors?
Yeah, I remember that one very well. What are we gonna get for our indoors?
Ooh, blow at me.
Yeah.
There's a Top of the Pops appearance they did for that, isn't there?
There is, yeah.
Excruciating.
We can share that with you.
Yeah.
Please do. I would love that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, so you must have got the Minder series
Yes.
on TV in Australia, but you didn't get the record.
And I Could Be So Good For You was a big hit, actually. But, I don't remember... What Are We Going to Get Her Indoors?
You've missed nothing. You've missed absolutely nothing.
And then we get to the singles reviews. In this issue, Dave Rimmer tackling the fortnight's bag of 45s. Yeah, Margarita Time by Status Quo. This can't be right. Status Quo ditching their chugga 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 and doing a sort of Chaz and Dave style sing-along about cocktails. Pinch me someone. UB Bloody 40 getting in there with not one but 2 singles. Adamant gets single of the fortnight.
Go Ant fans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, Sarina, I mean, I don't know if you want to tell us about the little Rod Stewart review there. It's only a few lines.
Yes.
So, I mean, one of Rod's more forgettable songs, I think. I had no recollection of this one whatsoever.
Well, no, neither did I, actually, until I watched the video on your wonderful playlist. But yeah, no, this review, safe to say, concludes with one of my favourite lines ever from Smash Hits. The review reads, "A typically dippy love song with lots of slidey country and western guitars. The best thing about it is a photo on the back of Rod sitting on a horse all dressed up in tartan and looking really stupid in italics. But don't buy it just for that." But then, Gavin kindly sent me the pic, and I think you would have to buy it just for that.
It's great, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's a ridiculous thing.
Yeah. It's so great.
Any standouts for you there, Gav?
Well, obviously, Strip as Single of the Week, which was nice. That was probably the last time Adam got a Single of the Week in Smash Hits. And Dave Rimmer mentions a line, "I'm not a man who believes in lies like an octopus with big X-ray eyes." I love it, whatever it means. Single of the fortnight. which is great. I mean, it's not one of his best singles, but it was good that he'd still got a single of the week. Obviously, UB Bloody 40, sorry, we mentioned earlier. And again, there's a record label putting out a song without the band wanting them to. Tyler, which was an old one on the Graduate record label that they'd put out, even though it was on the first album from a good couple of years before. And Many Rivers to Cross, which in the video, did you notice there's a few other pop stars? Have you seen the video?
I didn't get that far.
Right. Aswad
it's UB Bloody 40.
And Musical Youth turn up in it as well. So
it's a party.
There we go.
It was near the Christmas time, so that's probably what they were going on there. Let's have a reggae Christmas party.
I've just got to mention as well, the Irene Cara track I really liked. You know, the woman that sang the Fame theme tune, and she does a song called Why Me, which I really liked. I don't know if either the two of you listened to it.
Yeah. I liked it too. And I mean, Irene Cara's great, isn't she? And I was thinking, I don't actually know what happened to her.
We've also just got to very briefly mention Robert Plant's In the Mood.
Oh,
and it's a great review.
I wasn't by the end of it.
Wasn't just in the mood for lying down in a dark room afterwards. Awful. It says, quite why anyone would spend half a record intoning I'm in the mood for a melody and then fail to provide anything even remotely resembling one is beyond the reasoning of this humble reviewer. Very dull.
That is one of the most accurate reviews ever.
Isn't it? It really is. And the video's hilarious. And because they've got, it's the 80s, it's 83, so they've got a couple of break dancers in there. And I feel so sorry for them because they're trying to body pop to this bloody song that doesn't have any tune or melody or beat. And I mean, they're game and they're doing the best, but lads, you know, it's not going to happen.
Terrific.
Everyone looks embarrassed. Robert Plant looks mortified, mumbling along to it. Oh, it's absolutely bloody awful.
Yeah, well, it is quite odd actually in those singles reviews that you do get, you know, the hoary old pop stars or rock stars in there, Status Quo, Rod Stewart and Robert Plant, in amongst all your top pop stuff that's going on. So still hanging on in there.
Yeah. So, Sarina, we've got to the 16-page colour special insert that was kind of the reason for you to buy the mag. So, I feel like I don't really want to say too much about this. I think if it's all right, I'll just kind of hand it over to you to talk about what you want to talk about from there.
All right. Well, I mean, all right, I'll try to limit myself because obviously there's a lot to get through with this. All right. Now, I suppose, obviously, I guess I'll go right to the bit that's stuck in my craw, I suppose, because I feel like there is so much to cover in this supplement. I feel like I should at least get this off my chest nearly 40 years later. But I was very offended when it says, right, why they decided to stay in Sydney and record. Los Angeles or New York would have posed too much hassle and too many distractions. Sydney just seemed the obvious choice. The tour was to start there, and well, they'd always liked the place. After 3 months, though, the longest they've spent in any one place for the last 3 years, they were well fed up with it. Everything takes so long here, John moaned. Sydney had begun to seem like a very small town. The energy they'd found when they first visited in early 82 when bands like Men at Work and Icehouse were just beginning to make it big had now dried up. And anyway, they were all agreed, you can't buy decent clothes in Australia. Now, I think that was what upset me the most. And I mean, if you look at the pictures of them, I mean, maybe they're backing up their own argument with what they're wearing, but I mean, I presume they bought the clothes with them and they're just like absolutely terrible. So I was very angry about that. And also, might I say, not at all true that the music scene had dried up. It was very strong on those days. Like, I mean, I don't know what they would think about it now that all the, anyway, that's a story for another day. But so that was what made me angry in this. But what did strike me, though, aside from my fury at that, they actually seemed quite sweet, I thought. And there's so much funny stuff in this when they're upset at the very beginning because there's going to be a photograph taken of them on a boat and everyone's stereotyping them, you know, drinking champagne and being on boats all the time. Oh, I can see the comments now, Duran swanning around on a boat in Australia. The only time we ever go on boats, Simon impresses on me quietly, is when we're working. I promise to make this clear. And then, of course, they get stuck into Culture Club. Oh, I wasn't going to bring them up. We've never done anything as poppy and trivial as Karma Chameleon, and while they're being hailed as the new messiahs, we still get slagged off for being pop, pap and drivel. Why? Like, there's a lot about them being attacked by the media, didn't you think? It's a lot about boats and being attacked by the media is sort of the, and not liking the Style Council.
Yeah.
So that feud is obviously alive and well. Roger turns on the radio in the car. It's the Style Council. Everyone screams.
It feels like they're quite sensitive to sort of the media backlash, which they would have been sort of really feeling quite strongly by this point. And they're reacting to it they're not really taking it in the stride, are they?
Yeah.
No, I think they've had enough of it. You know, like who plays the instruments on their records and things like that, as if they're just a bunch of clothes horses and they can't actually play their instruments. But do you remember what you wrote in the letter to Smash Hits?
Well, I think I would have been probably focusing on the clothes thing and their general ingratitude. And I remember it was quite a long letter, and I would have actually posted in England as well, because I was actually in England at the time when I was reading this, so I would have like marched down to the post box. And obviously, for understandable reasons, it never got published because it was a ridiculous letter. So yeah, I think I was very upset at their ingratitude. And but also now the controversial thing about this, I cannot get over this, is Nick. Okay. Nick, who shook me by agreeing with some of the reasons why I've given Duran singles in different reviews in the past, remarked, I can't listen to the first two albums now. The first one was very original for its time, but Rio was only a very small step forward. It didn't achieve anything. I'm pleased with the new one, though. I mean, come on, mate. You know, as I said, for my money, they did not have a good album after Rio.
Nothing wrong with Rio in my book, but bands tend to be a bit like that. They'll dismiss their previous album because the next one, the new one's better.
Yeah.
And actually, I think Seven of the Ragged Tiger seems to really, really lack direction. Whereas Rio seems to be really cohesive and like it seems to be the band.
Yeah.
They know what they want to do. They're aiming for it. And you've got the good pop stuff on there, Rio and Hungry Like the Wolf. Then you've got something a little more interesting like Save a Prayer. And also The Chauffeur, which is just a brilliant, brilliant song. Still sounds great to this day.
Yeah.
Whereas
That's right.
What was it? New Moon on Monday?
Union of the Snake.
A Union of the Snake. They're quite forgettable songs, and this for me is where the band just kind of falls apart and quite telling. I think they quickly did end up crashing upon the rocks.
Well, that's right. I mean, I don't mind the reflex, but I mean, too, didn't Simon Le Bon? Didn't he like nearly die in one of those insane Russell Mulcahy videos in Wild Boys or something? I thought, didn't he like nearly drown or something?
Tied to the windmill, being dipped in water upside down. Yeah.
What a way to go. I can see Brian Ferry at the funeral now.
My poor son Simon.
Dabbing a handkerchief to the corner of his eye. His silk handkerchief.
Finally acknowledged. One thing that really made me laugh, though, towards the end when they're talking about that rehearsal, Simon and Andy get quite bouncy and excited. So too does their American saxophonist Scott Page, a very rock and roll type character. He keeps leaving his place and trying to dance with Simon, but Simon waves him back every time with a look of horror and disgust.
Get back. I love the bit about the album shoot, which is, I mean, talk about the excess of the 80s. They talk about how much it might have spent. It was anywhere between 65,000 and 200,000. But no one will say exactly how much it did cost. But Smash It says it can't have been cheap. They flew photographer Rebecca Blake and a crew out from America. They flew their designer Malcolm Garrett out from England. When they couldn't find a tiger in Sydney, they flew one by private jet from Melbourne. It turned into a bit of a production number, John admits. Some 50 people gathered around the steps of Sydney Public Library. Photographers, makeup and wardrobe people, TV crews, people to look after the tiger, not to mention curious passers-by who'd been warned about the potential disturbance on the radio. Smoke bombs going off all over the shop, and in the middle of all this, a poor drugged tiger who wouldn't play ball. He wasn't into it, John says. I think he was a Jam fan. The shop wasn't even used in the end. So after all that, and they didn't even bloody use the thing. God's sake.
That's so true. That has everything, doesn't it? It's got the Jam rivalry.
Were you aware when all this was going on?
No. I mean, the only story I ever heard about anyone to do with Duran while they were here was someone saw Nick Rhodes at McDonald's. That That is the only story I could tell you. I've got a question for you with this though. When they talk about the Aston Villa show for MenCap making no money and the band disappearing with the takings, I have no idea what that means. Do you guys know?
Well, Aston Villa, they're a football team over here, right? I don't know if you know.
Right.
In Birmingham.
Yeah, in Birmingham. So
I've only been to 2 football matches and Aston Villa was one of them.
Ah, right, okay. Yeah. So Villa Park would have been one of the local football stadiums for Duran. So they must have put on a charity gig. I mean, I don't remember anything about the gig. But obviously there was something about the charity not getting the money. So I think that's obviously some controversy about that.
Right.
Which obviously the band are denying.
Yes, well, thank you for explaining that.
The bit about the moms being interviewed in The Sun.
Oh, yes.
Another source of amusement was the day The Sun interviewed all their moms. It was, he was such a nice boy stuff. John cringes in embarrassment at the mere memory. I mean, what mother wouldn't say that? But we were all on the phone straight away. Mother, what have you done?
Oh, Mum!
No, they do seem to be having fun at this stage, but I don't think the fun lasted much longer for them, did it? In that kind of first phase of success.
Definitely, I think the wheels are coming off the fun chariot by this point, aren't they?
I did buy a few years ago. I will just say, John Taylor's in the Pleasure Groove.
Oh.
And he seems to have forgotten all the terrible stuff that he said about Australia back then because he's quite complimentary. But I didn't feel mollified. I was actually just even more annoyed than I had been before. So please continue.
He didn't even acknowledge it.
No. But judging by that book, though, he was taking ecstasy all the time while he was here. So who knows?
I do like this little bit where they're talking about... just life on the road and things like that. It says later in the week, because it's Dave Rimmer who's gone out to spend a week with the band in Australia.
Yeah.
So later in the week, I'm driving across town with Nick, John, Simon and Roger and the BMW John's rented for the duration. His driving's a trifle shaky. The previous night, he left 2 contact lenses in 2 glasses of water, only to have a drunken roadie stumble in and down one of them. He's now driving with one of them in. Oh, rightio.
That seems an incredibly dangerous thing to do as a top pop star.
Yeah.
You wouldn't get Gary Newman flying his plane without his specs on, would you?
No, you wouldn't. No, you wouldn't get the insurance for that these days. It's 2 contact lenses or nothing if you're a pop star driving a rented car.
It is amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
And when they're filling in their Smash Hits readers forms as well, there seem to be altogether too many candidates for Twits of the Year, and neither wants to copy Roger in putting the Style Council down. But yeah, I mean, I found too, looking at the page when it's just interviewing, them separately, like that couple of pages, they actually seem quite sweet. Nick Rhodes loves the animals, and Simon Le Bon is a bit dreamy, and John Taylor's very cheerful, and all of this. So, they actually come across as, I thought, very pleasant fellows.
The piece carries on with sidelines, sordid, revolting, and outrage shouldn't be allowed. Peter Martin sifts through some of Duran Duran's true life confessions.
Oh, yes.
Mentions here that Andy met his wife Tracy at her Andy met can't do it now. Andy met his wife Tracy at her hairdressing shop. There we are. Wilson and Wilson. She used to do all the band's barnets. Do you think that's a family business by any chance?
Possibly. Sounds like an estate agent's or a solicitor's. Wilson and Wilson's. My favourite fun fact in that was when Simon Le Bon met the rest of the band, he was wearing pink leopard skin trousers and he had a book of lyrics he was working on. And there was one, I think the chauffeur and night porter are mentioned in there, and also there was a song, I don't know if it was ever recorded, but called On a Dead Child, which is, not very Duran, is it, that?
No. Not the Duran that we know and love, no.
And I love too in that when they're talking about their nicknames, and Nick's called Ringo in quotes because he hates it. In the little profile of Andy Taylor, it mentions that these days his dad's a carpenter and his last job was working on Rio, the restaurant Andy's bought in his hometown with some Duran money. So does anyone know anything about the Rio the Rio Rio restaurant.
No, their hometown was up near Newcastle.
Yeah.
So if it had been in Birmingham, I might have known about it. But I'm presuming it's not there anymore. Let's say that. Yeah. Again, if anyone can get in touch with us and let us know what happened to the Rio, was it a restaurant?
Yeah.
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 Rio, the restaurant that was somewhere in the north of England.
Did you eat there?
Yeah.
What was on the menu?
Did you have a Le Bon Bon burger? Did you have a reflex ravioli? You know, what did...
Yeah. or would it be reflex or reflux?
A Rio risotto. Yeah. What did you have? Yeah. I like the fact that he gave his dad some work. You know, that's nice, isn't it?
Yeah, well, keeping it in the family, that's clearly important.
Keep it in the Wilson and Taylor family. Yeah.
But I'd just like to go back to the second page in this 16-page pull-out, because there are some adverts in here. And there's an advert for Golden Wonder Superheroes, which is a 6-track record that you could send off for if you collected the tokens on Golden Wonder Superheroes packs.
Oh, yes.
Now, later on in, when was it, 1984, we went for a weekend away in Stratford. It was in September. We had a family reunion, we were all staying in the caravans and stuff. And the shop that was on the campsite was selling these Golden Wonder Superheroes with the tokens on for the record.
Fantastic.
And they were selling the crisps off really cheap.
Oh,
so
wow.
I spent most of the weekend eating Golden Wonder Superheroes so I could get enough tokens to send off for the record. So I did all that, realised that the crisps were actually out of date, but no matter, I wanted the tokens. Snipped them all out, sent them off with a little thing with my name and address in there, and I think I had to send, my dad wrote a cheque for me for £1.25. We sent it all off. It all got returned to me because, as you see here, and I didn't read on the crisp packets, offer ends 30th of June 1984, and this was September.
Oh,
so no wonder the no wonder the crisps were out of date. I'd made myself ill eating all these crisps over the weekend.
Oh my God.
But the record was no longer available. And it's not even, they must have had some still stuck in a box somewhere. They could have just sent me one. No, the cheque and the tokens were returned with a little note saying, sorry, this offer has ended.
Oh, sigh.
Oh.
Gutted for you, mate. I'm gutted. Years later, I'm gutted for you.
Yeah.
It's still, I can tell, looking at your face, it still means a lot to you.
So wanted that 6-track record. I really, really did.
Kajagoogoo, Classics Nouveau, Hayek at 100, Thompson Twins, Bucks Fizz and Dexys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that if what a lineup to eat out-of-date crisps for.
Yeah. Just eating Golden Wonder superheroes just so I could have a Classics Nouveau song to listen to whenever I'm damn well pleased. So I just wanted to share that experience and disappointment with you.
Oh, thanks, Si. You feel better for sharing, or has it brought it all up again? Like the crisps?
Yeah, it literally did bring it all back up, yeah. Right, so we get back into the main part of the magazine now. We're on page 61. RSVP, 4 columns of pop fans, well, around the world. Somebody in America, lots of people in the UK, just wanting pop pen pals. Anybody there that you would have written to, Sarina?
Well, I would have written to Ian Davies. I am 16, extremely handsome, super fit, tall, and of course very modest, with a little joke. Like Culture Club, TFF and Depeche Mode, but it's this that struck me. Must dislike school and Mark Almond.
Not only that, but he wants a photo.
Oh, he does, yeah.
Yeah.
And he's just up the road here in near Doncaster.
Oh, wow.
Not far from where I can nip round and check that address out later on if you want.
That would be great.
So what was it you liked about him? Was it his musical choices, Sarina?
No, I just like the sentence, must dislike school and Mark Almond. That was what it was. And I guess maybe the tall would have appealed to me. So I think it was that would have probably been it for me. And I'm sure I would have written and not gotten a reply, but nonetheless.
There's only one letter here that I would have responded to, and that's, I'm an American female who still likes Adam and the Ants.
Oh, yes.
If anyone has anything to swap or would just like to write, then contact Kirsty in Rockaway Beach. So yeah, that would have been my one. What about you?
Yeah,
Si?
I mean, I'll be honest. There's not anybody here that I would have written to. Really, I've taken pity on quite a few of them. But Tammy in Brighouse. My name is Tammy, and I'm 11. Hobbies include roller skating, swimming, and music. I also like Shaky and Adam. I think, come on, Tammy. It's not 1981 anymore.
Yeah, come on.
Move with the time.
We're almost in 84 now,
Yeah.
Tammy. Come on.
Move with the times.
Get
a
your
little
arse in
bit.
gear, love.
So I do feel slightly sorry for Tammy there. And I'm hoping that she did find it within herself to kind of leave those childish things behind and to get into the hip and happening sounds of now rather than 1981.
Yeah, there are some quite touching ones. I'm moving to London soon and would like to have some friends.
Oh,
It's so sweet, isn't it?
Yeah, so you mentioned that you were in the UK when this issue came out. You're in London and going down to the Smash Hits offices. So what was the reason for the trip? You know, did you have family over here? Or was it just a trip to the UK just for the sheer hell of it?
Yes. My mum is English and I have family over there. So, yes, that was the reason why. My first trip to England and, as I say, very exciting. Yes.
Yeah. What do you remember from that trip other than the Smash Hits related memories?
I remember watching Top of the Pops and I remember having a cold Christmas. That was the first time I ever had a cold Christmas because, of course, we have Christmas in summer. Eating a lot of food on the day, eating a lot of cakes. I was convinced that I saw John Moss in Harrods. I can still see him in my mind. So mainly John Moss, cold Christmas, watching Top of the Pops, going to Carnaby Street to see the Smash Hits offices.
just very briefly, because Si's already mentioned it in part of the contents, but we've got Star Choice. So this is where a pop star du jour chose a song. And, I think this is really interesting because, as Si said earlier on, this is probably the only mention that Captain Beefheart ever had in the magazine. And Roddy Frame of Aztec Camera's chosen My Head Is My Only House Unless It Rains from the Clear Spot album. And he talks about it with like a lot of love and passion, and it's really nice what he says about sort of the magical qualities of this song. And it's an aspect of Smash Hits that I know we've touched on before, the kind of educational aspect of it as well, because I know for me this would have been the first time I ever heard about Captain Beefheart and his magic band. And although I didn't buy any records of theirs for a few more years yet, I think it did plant a seed so that when I did hear about them again later, when I was kind of reading the NME and the kind of more grown-up kind of music papers, they were already like, there was a slight familiarity with them, because obviously I do remember seeing this at the time, and we had no way of hearing the song. I think if I'd have heard it, I probably would have quite liked it, because it's certainly one of the more accessible Captain Beefheart tunes. But I just thought it was really interesting. And again, something we've said before about the breadth of stuff that Smash Hits covers. And we saw it in the albums before with Einstürzende Neubauten and Alien Sex Fiend alongside Tracy Ullman. And then we've got Captain Beefheart in there. And I think people often forget about just the wide range and the sort of smorgasbord of music that Smash Hits presented, before you.
Absolutely.
So, I thought that was a really interesting choice of Roddy's to put that in. And then we turn the page and we have Status Bloody Quo again. I'm not going to spend too long on them because I feel like we've already kind of given them quite a bit of time already. But just very briefly, it's
More than they deserve.
more than they deserve. Again, it's at a TV studio like Paul Young earlier on. This time we're at ITV, and they're at the studio to do a routine with Cannon and Ball, who were a sort of a Saturday evening primetime comedy, in inverted commas, duo with the obligatory catchphrase, Rock On, Tommy.
Yeah. I had a T-shirt with Rock On Tommy.
I think most people did, to be fair. I mean, it's slightly better than Thank You, Doctor, but not a lot. And, it's a bit of a potted history of the band, because they've been going since the 60s. 1962, they started as the Spectres, and they had a hit single in, I think, 68 with Pictures of Matchstick Men. Francis Rossi refutes the idea that there's a formula, which, Kip Quo, one of the most formulaic bands, so the fact that he's like, no, people always say we've got this success formula, he complains, as if we're going to the studio and say, right, get out the formula, lads. It doesn't work like that, I think it works exactly like that.
It does work exactly like that. There's another mention of Duran.
That's right, yeah. In fact, there's quite a lot of them.
Yeah.
Again, and we talked about how other bands get bits of slaggings. And, at this point, they're only in the mid-30s, so it's not like they're really, really old. But they get asked by Tom Hibbett how it is sharing the pop charts with all these new faces. And they say, well, Duran Duran are a very, very good-looking bunch of lads. And if they ever made a blinding record, I'd say so. Ooh. But some of the names they come out with, Tears for Fears, I don't know what that's all about. And what is it? Men with no hats? Yeah. What's that? But it's the video thing that worries me. You look at someone's video and you think, blimey, that's great. Then you suddenly imagine the band going to Sheffield Civic Hall and trying to do all the atmosphere. Man, on stage. I saw Depeche Mode in Ireland, and there's these 4 dum-dums stood there. Only one of them ever moves, and they've got a drum loop and a tape at the back, and as soon as it stops, so do they. Whap! No time to talk to the crowd. I don't understand it. But then I'm getting on, ain't I?
Yeah. It's we get a little glimpse into Francis Ross's daily routine as well. At 9 every day, I get downstairs and I pull the drawer out of the grill at the bottom of the cooker, put it on the top, get 3 bits of bacon, 2 sausages, 2 eggs and a tin of tomatoes on the go. I do like a serious drop of breakfast every day.
That's a massive breakfast, isn't it?
You're not going to want any lunch.
No.
If that's your breakfast.
I love that because I love how the story starts with him having trouble getting into his jeans, and when he gives that account of his breakfast, and it goes on to say, perhaps that is why it takes so long to tuck yourself into your jeans, I suggest. This doesn't seem to go down very well, and so he moves swiftly along to modern pop.
And then we get to Mr. Robert Smith.
Yeah, it's he spent 4 years in one group, The Cure, and no one seemed to take much notice. Now he's in 3, The Cure, The Glove, Susie and the Banshees, and suddenly everyone's talking about him. They say he's mysterious and miserable. He says he's chirpy and cuddly. Your referee, Peter Martin. So Peter Martin's chatting to Robert Smith, and I think he actually seems to be at this point enjoying not necessarily being a pop star, but certainly being a musician and tasting some of the pop life apart from Top of the Pops.
Oh yeah.
So he moans a little bit. He says, "How do you think you come across on programs like Top of the Pops? For a start, we don't smile enough to fit in. I find it really hard to pretend to see through that camera into the homes of those millions of people who are really going to love you. It's such a farce. I look really bored because I am. We only do it because if we didn't, someone else would. The lipstick? It's not to shock or anything. I don't know why we do it. Certain people like Susie look great without really trying." Peter goes on to ask, "In your opinion, who comes across worse on Top of the Pops? Every time Shakin' Stevens appears, I get a really tight feeling in my stomach. And Black Lace, they're on with the Banshees. Before they went on, you could see it in their eyes. That desperate feeling. It's really distressing." So I think he's actually quite fun and playful. I think he's really quite enjoying the pop ride at this point in time.
Definitely.
Just having a bit of fun.
He sledges Duran Duran as well, though. Well, I always think it's funny when those totally manufactured groups like Duran Duran arrive in a blaze of glamour, and when they've made lots of money, want to be taken as serious artists, and like Adam Ant returns with his new image and he's got a different coloured frilly shirt on. I used to go into whole evening discussions on how to mutilate certain people, but I've become much more tolerant now.
Well, thanks, Bob.
I'll take Duran Duran getting a kick in, but, I'm not having him having a go at Adam Ant. That's beyond the pale. He's crossed the line there, Robert Smith. But I really loved The Cure at this time.
Mm.
I liked their singles when they got more poppy. He talks about the old fans, doesn't he? Because obviously they'd come from quite a gothic kind of serious kind of art school sort of student-y backing, and then they put these pop singles out, and Pete Martin says, "How have your old fans reacted to the change?" And he says, "Some feel cheated. I really detest them." That's quite harsh, isn't it? I really detest them. It's like we're their pet band, and how dare I tamper with our mysterious image we've brought up over the years. I never asked for blind devotion. And he says that, people have written to them saying that faith was such an important part of their lives and it's been shattered now. But he says that, he's a multifaceted person and he likes doing different styles of music. And, Fair dues.
Yeah, no, I do think his tongue is in his cheek at points in that piece. Yeah. What is it that Bob's holding in his hand?
Sunglasses.
Oh, is it sunglasses?
Yeah, it's
I can see it now. The light reflecting off the corner was really throwing me off.
Yeah.
I thought, I didn't know if it was like some sort of little toy plastic cat or something. But no, it's sunglasses, thank you. That's getting cut.
No, you're leaving that inside.
No, leaving that in.
What's that?
What's that? Sunglasses.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay, that's boring.
And then we've got Roland Rat rapping. Did you know who Roland Rat was in Australia?
No, I don't. But yet, I feel like I had a familiarity with him, but I don't know why. But rapping, yes, seems really bizarre, doesn't it, when you revisit it?
Yeah, it did feel quite strange.
Probably at the time, really, for that matter. Kind of those novelty rap songs were a big thing.
I mean, to be fair to Roland, I think there's a bit in here that really seems to be very much ahead of the game. You know, with like one of the styles of rap and hip hop is kind of a lot of boasting about your wealth and your honeys and being down at the club and all that kind of thing. And he's got some lines where he says, "At my feet, the world is my oyster, Kev. Why? Because I'm full of showbiz glamour, aren't I? I'm the world's first rodent superstar. Lots of talk and lots of action. Roland Rat's the main attraction with a penthouse suite, swimming pool, pretty young guinea pigs playing it cool. Rolls Royce yachts, caviar. I told you once I'm a superstar." You know, it's very Snoop Doggy Dogg, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Roland Ratty Rat. Yeah.
Roland Ratty Rat.
Yeah, it's quite witty, I think.
But see, I remember a lot of the kids being into Roland Rat at school and going, yay, Rat Fairs, all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I didn't like it. I didn't watch because Roland Rat was on ITV and I used to watch BBC children's programmes. So,
You're right.
yeah, like the Tiswas swap shop thing in the 70s, I was on the BBC side.
Yeah. There's an urban myth about, I don't know if it's true or not about Roland Rat, but that his ears were made out of rubber johnnies.
Really?
And I'm not sure if that's true, but looking at it...
Yeah, it looks like it would be, actually.
Yeah.
In that particular light,
Yeah.
I think you've got a point there.
Yeah. I don't know about Kevin's. They're definitely a smaller size.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I'm never going to look at Roland Rat the same again. I've never heard that urban myth before. I wish you hadn't shared it.
Sorry.
We then get to the letters page, 2 pages, Dear Black Type. As ever, a lot going on. I just want to bring your attention to the second letter down here. After reading, this is A Bleached Chameleon who's responding to a previous letter. After reading Mrs. Andrea Harbinson's letter, November 10th, I thought I'd just tell you about my dad, Patrick Hammond, who is at the ripe old age of 40. This paternal wonder reads every issue of Smash Hits avidly, would never dream of missing Top of the Pops and tries his hardest to do body popping and robotics. His favourite groups are Culture Club and Wham. Lengthy discussions are held every tea time on the goings-on in the world of pop, and, on Tuesdays, much speculation goes on as to what will be the new number one. He's always right, the Rat. I would like to nominate him for next year's coveted award for showing extreme trendiness in the face of great opposition, or failing that, a £10 record token.
That's pretty cool at 40 to be...
to be
down with the kids like that.
Yeah, down with the kids. Yeah. Certainly in the 1980s. Sarina, any letters there that caught your attention? I mean, being a letter writer to Smash Hits yourself.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, my letter was so stupid, and these letters are just so funny. And one thing that I always loved in Smash Hits was that world's most boring place debate. And I remember the first time I ever struck it wasn't in this issue, but I seem to remember there was like a running joke about Milton Keynes in the letters pages, and I didn't even know what Milton Keynes, was, and I thought it was so funny. And I just love it when the person writing from Paris and how boring, not Paris, France, how boring France is, letters signing off, yours in boredom, Swindon being the pits. I mean, it's just letter after letter about who lives in the most boring place that just has nothing to do with music or anything in the magazine. It's so great.
I love the one in this from King Kurt's Underwear where it says, "Come and visit the biggest ghost town of them all, Hartford." Where? I hear you scream. Our only cinema is being turned into a car showroom. Our civic hall is used for women's institute meetings or wrestlers. And the only group that's ever come anywhere near is Chaz and Dave. Just sums up life in 80s Britain, really.
Yeah.
At the time, Marilyn is starting to ride high on the carousel as well as Boy George. And it's caused a little debate on the letters page. There's a letter from Brigitte from Leighton Buzzard. "All comparisons between Boy George and Marilyn must stop." That's very direct. Must stop. Having just seen Top of the Pops, I feel I must point out some searing errors in these accusations. Not sure exactly what the accusations are. Let's find out. Boy George appears sexless in his bright garb. His makeup isn't seductive, but effective. And anyway, if his appearance hints at either sex, he comes across as more male than female. Indeed, he is the soulful clown of pop. And extremely talented too. He is sheer personality. And if Boy George was to don clinging leotards and sport silky locks flowing over naked shoulders, I think there's some very dreamy imagery going on here, isn't there? Start gyrating at the hips and breathing heavily into the mic, would the girls still go gaga? Like hell. Peter Maz Robinson, brackets Marilyn, appears looking like a rerun of all the garishness of the 70s, complete with his corny, casually slip the jacket off the shoulder routine, wearing hand-me-downs from the 3 degrees. He flaunts his, quote marks, sexuality with all the subtlety of a muppet. He has me cringing. He hasn't the strength to support such an overdose of campness. This is like this letter is an overdose of campness. Also, Boy George is visually appealing. He has innate colour sense. In your pic of Marilyn, October 27th, he's wearing bright pink lipstick, a scarlet top and a man's watch. Look, I'm the last person to say that boys should be boys, etc. But listen, Maz, honey bun, I just want to say that I totally agree with you. You are not a Boy George clone, God forbid. No, you are, in fact, dare I say it, yep, in screamingly bad taste. So there we go. That put it to Marilyn, didn't it? Wow. 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 And that's why Marilyn never had another hit single after Calling Your Name. Whew. I feel like I need to calm down after that one.
Yeah, you were getting quite into that, weren't you? You were method reading that letter.
I was Brigitte from Leighton Buzzard for a moment there. Yeah. So, that's the main thing going on the letters page is crap towns and Boy George. I do like the Boy Kevin picture.
Yeah.
Someone's done a sketch of what Kevin Rowland would look like as Boy George.
In fact, I remember I traced that into an aerogram to send to my best friend. I just thought that was the funniest thing I'd ever seen, that picture of Boy Kevin.
You must have felt like when you bought this magazine and it came out at the time, because you were in England, you must have felt like you'd gone into the future because your mates back at home wouldn't be getting this for another month and a half.
Oh, absolutely. And I remember sort of being quite boastful because I saw Culture Club's Victims video on TV and sort of boasting about it in a letter, and then a friend told me that she saw it quite soon after me. But you get you have a period of being like incredibly up yourself just because you're in another country and you feel like you're ahead of the game. So yeah. But no, it was absolutely incredible.
Yeah. You'd visited the cradle of pop itself, hadn't you?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. No, it was like going to heaven. I mean, I was absolutely desperate in 1982, absolutely desperate to go to Birmingham because of Duran, and I still have never been to Birmingham.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, Birmingham. No, I'm fond of Birmingham. It's kind of like where I grew up, but yeah.
It's transformed now.
It has.
It would have been a different experience in 1980.
I'm just thinking, as a tourist in the early 80s coming over, it probably wouldn't have been as exciting as it would have been in your head. Probably best that you didn't visit, and the memory, the thoughts and the fantasies remained intact.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Obviously, a few years later in Australia, you got your own version of Smash Hits. But was there anything like this on the market at this time that was actually homegrown for Australia?
No, we had music press. We had a music paper called Duke, and we had a music paper called Ram, but they were much more sort of serious. They were more like Melody Maker, NME, that sort of thing. And then when Australian Smash Hits came, it was that difficult thing that then we stopped getting the English smash hits. So I have a bit of a resentment against the Australian smash hits because that was the end of the English smash hits. No, we didn't unfortunately have anything exactly like smash hits until we actually had smash hits, but it just I don't know, just didn't feel like it was the same.
Is that when you stopped buying it?
Yeah, well, I didn't have any choice because I think they just actually stopped stocking the British smash hits when they started creating the Australian smash hits. So, yeah, and I think that was late 84. So it was taken out of my hands, sadly.
So you didn't get the Australian one? Or you tried it a few times and it wasn't for you?
I tried it a few times and it wasn't for me. And it was nothing. It wasn't that I didn't like reading about Australian bands or anything, but it just felt so much like a copy of the English one that it didn't feel authentic to me. I'd rather just have read the other Australian music press and just left it at that, which is what I did.
Okay, moving on from the letters, we'll just very quickly look at the nights out, the live page. So we've got the tour dates. Again, talking about the breadth of smash hits, they give you dates for the Animals, who, by that point, it was a long, long time since they'd had a hit. Hawkwind, doing a big old tour. Level 42, Slade, Thompson Twins and Tina Turner. And then reviewed gigs are Ozzy Osbourne in Birmingham, Cabaret Voltaire in Sheffield, Shakin' Stevens again in London, and the Smiths. And it's quite an early mention of the Smiths, I think. I guess there would probably been one or two mentions before, but this was when This Charming Man was in the charts. And they were just starting to ride on the Giddy Carousel of Pop. Shaky was a permanent fixture on the Giddy Carousel. There's a bit that really made me laugh here where it's talking about Green Door, his hit single. And Lisa Anthony says the thing she doesn't like is all the gimmicks. She says, for Blue Christmas, tons of fake snow floated down into the front rows. And for Green Door, we had Shaky emerging from said object, bopping down some stairs, tripping up and nearly breaking his neck in the process, which would have been amazing. I'd have loved to have seen that. Oh, yeah. Man. And then, Shaky disappears in a puff of smoke through a trapdoor in the floor at the end after he's wished everyone happy Christmas. And, that's it. Shaky's gone. But, Lisa doesn't like it. She calls it tacky. And then the Smiths at Westfield College in London. Again, this would have been quite an early mention of them, but I know that I cut this out and put this little bit on my wall because by this point I was really getting heavily into the Smiths, and Adamant was starting to go down the pop dumper for me, and but the carousel was spinning hearty for the Smiths. But I just like the fact that there's such a nice range of stuff. Again, Cabaret Voltaire, very kind of, at that point, a very experimental band, but they get as much space as Shaky does in the magazine. And that's your lot. As we said, 88 pages altogether, including that 16-page Duran special.
An absolute whopper.
I feel the quality and the quantity of that.
Yeah.
So what's it been like, Sarina, going back to that issue of smash hits and revisiting it, and the memories that it's brought back for you?
Oh, well, it's been the best fun. And I mean, what strikes me is how vivid it is to me and how vivid that time of your life is. I mean, personally, I can just barely remember any of the 90s at all. I mean, I feel like I barely remember any of this century. But for some reason, that sort of 82, 83 stretch, when I was really into the sort of top 40, I guess, is one way of putting it. And then I feel like by 84, I flipped over into sort of, trying to be cool, and I mean, failing dismally, but sort of trying to be cool and not listening to that kind of, not being so focused on that music. I guess that's my feeling, how much fun it is and how much fun the magazine was, and also, by the way, how meticulous the subbing was. Like, it's such a literate magazine. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, and you probably know much better than I do, but I'm not sure that there's anything like it today. I mean, I don't know, there may be on the internet, but that sort of mixture of taking something that was directed towards very young people, but writing about it at really a very sophisticated, witty level. I don't know that exists anymore.
No, I think you're right. I can't think of anything that does.
Well, it's kind of been absorbed into culture.
Yeah.
And I think the people who grew up reading smash hits, that there isn't a dedicated magazine like that anymore, and that there aren't really many music magazines anymore.
Yeah.
But certainly within writing about culture, writing about pop culture, and sort of maybe a little bit in podcast culture as well, I think some of that attitude of smash hits is kind of it lives on through those other things. So actually its influence has gone far and wide, and it's diversified across through people who've gone on to become writers or work in the media or whatever. I mean, you yourself, you're a writer. I mean, was smash hits an influence on what you wanted to do?
I suppose as you say, I think the attitude sinks into you at an early age with smash hits, definitely. I mean, I wish I were a writer on the level of the smash hits writers, because I mean, sadly, I wouldn't flatter myself that I were. But I think it's true. I think that particular attitude when you encounter it at that age does sort of stick with you as something to aspire to, I suppose, and an outlook on life. Well, an outlook on bands and so on, yeah.
Well, thanks, Sarina, for joining us on the carousel.
Thank you so much.
And for reliving those top pop memories. It's been really interesting to hear your take on things from somebody who lived the other side of the world, but was so into pop music, but was taking it from that British perspective. I think that's the really interesting thing, I think, about what we've been talking about today.
Well, it has been an absolute honour. Thank you so much for asking me. I've had much better time than I ever had on an actual carousel.
Hey!
That's good to hear. And also, thanks to you for listening. Don't forget to check out our website, giddypoppod.home.blog, where you'll find the links to the issue of Smash Hits that we've been looking at, along with those Spotify and YouTube playlists, so you can enjoy your ride on the carousel to its fullest. And of course, you can check out our previous episodes, playlists and scans, our back issues, if you will, while you're there.
And if you've enjoyed the show and you want to support us by buying us a coffee, we would be forever in your debt. It's coffee.com/giddypoppod. That's ko-fi.com/giddypoppod. And that's where you can do that. And come and say hello to us, as always, at Giddy Pop Pod on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. And we'll say hello back.
We will indeed. So thanks once again for listening, and we'll see you next time on the Giddy Carousel of Pop. Bye!
Bye!